Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Happy 23rd anniversary of the launch of PTI, Tony.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Our anniversary was yesterday, and you weren't here, so I'm not talking to you. I'm not.
Oh, you didn't get the roses I sent? You didn't get the bouquet,
No.
the 3 dozen roses? They didn't arrive at the studio in time?
No, I did. Well, I wasn't at the studio, as you well know, but I also, I always have thought we started in September. I had no idea it was like late October. No idea. Can I tell you? Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Rams reportedly shop Cooper Kupp, the Celtics pound the Knicks, and Kendrick Perkins joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the Kansas City Chiefs trading for DeAndre Hopkins. The Chiefs desperately needed help at wide receiver, with 2 of their starters, Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown, out for the regular season. So they picked up Hopkins from Tennessee. Hopkins has only 15 catches for 173 yards this season, but as recently as last year, he had over 1,000 yards. So, Wilbon, where does this put the Chiefs?
It ought to put him in the catbird seat and smiling. I mean, if the acquisition of Derrick Henry put Baltimore in that seat, and it looks like it did, because to me, Derrick Henry is the MVP of the league right now. And I know you can always make it Patrick Mahomes because you can. But Lamar Jackson, the tag team duo of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry is like, oh, my God. Okay, so now you got a pro out there in Hopkins. And, Tony, I know it's like he disappeared from the landscape for a couple of years because he was in places where they weren't in contention. He couldn't control that. But now you put him on that team, and you got young Xavier Worthy out there who's going to benefit from playing alongside Hopkins. And Patrick Mahomes must be thrilled, absolutely thrilled, that he gets a guy who just goes out and plays. The phrase balls out, it can't apply to anybody more than it does Hopkins. So, wow, for Kansas City, this is what they do. They figure out who they need, whether it's the draft or free agency or a trade, and they make it happen without excuses.
Yeah, so this is the 3rd big-name wide receiver to move in the last 10 days or so. Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper and now Hopkins. Hopkins is the oldest of them. He's 32 years old. He's got 5 Pro Bowls. They've all got 5 or 6 Pro Bowls. He's probably lost a step or 2 over the years. I understand that, but he's got great hands. He can catch the ball. And now he's going to get the ball passed to him by Patrick Mahomes and not Will Levis. And there is a big difference there. He's not going to catch it and go 30 more yards for a touchdown. He's not going to do that. But the Chiefs shouldn't be concerned with yak. They should be concerned with possessing the football. They are a defensive-oriented team now, so you want long, time-consuming scoring drives, and then you want your defense to do a 3 and out. Where does this put them? I agree with you. It sustains them as the favorite right now. They have to be concerned with this, Mike. They have to be concerned with Baltimore, Buffalo, and Houston as legitimate rivals, legitimate threats. Baltimore added Derrick Henry this year. Houston added Joe Mixon this year. And Buffalo just got Amari Cooper. So they just returned serve by getting Hopkins.
They did.
To me, they maintain their position, and it will make Mahomes better because he's got a target now. He didn't have a wide target.
He's got to be thrilled.
So that's my feeling.
I'd be so happy to see that guy walk in the locker room. He has to be.
This is their response. We're going to go out and get this guy. Good.
That is yes, and you got to feel good about your management as well because they're showing faith. Another big name receiver could be wearing a different uniform. The Athletic reports the Rams are speaking with teams about a potential trade of Cooper Kupp, and they hope for a 2nd-round pick in return. Kupp was the Offensive Player of the Year and Super Bowl MVP in 2021, but he's battled injuries in the season since, hasn't played this season since week 2. Tone, does it make sense to you, though, that the Rams would trade Cooper Kupp?
I don't know that it matters anymore if it makes sense, because I think they put themselves in a position where this is going to happen. I don't think you can dangle Cooper Kupp out there like that, like bait, and then pull him back. He's too high-profile a receiver. This feels almost like an insult. It seems to me that the Rams have said to 31 other teams, make us your best offer, and I think they're going to have to take it because, to me, they have initiated this process. So he joins these other 3 guys that we just talked about in the last story. He's 31 years old. As you point out, he's got a Super Bowl. They don't. He's got the MVP of a Super Bowl. They don't. But, Mike, it feels to me like the Rams are looking at Kupp, and they're looking at Matthew Stafford at 36 years old, and they're saying, I don't think we can get back to the Super Bowl necessarily with these guys anymore, so let's consider a rebuild.
Yeah, it's the start. It looks like the start of a rebuild. I mean, there are rumors out there they are looking perhaps to trade Stafford. You're like, wait a minute, really? Are you guys giving up on the season at 2-4? Which seems a little hasty to me. But Kupp, as we mentioned, hasn't played since week 2. They have Nakua, who can, I don't know if he's a 1, but he's certainly a productive as hell in that position. And Tony, let me say this. Receiver is the place now where people draft high, take them, bring them in, use them right away. That wasn't the case for years and years. Certain teams wouldn't even spend a high number 1 on a receiver. But now that is not the case, and receivers seem to come from just all over the college ranks and contribute right away. And maybe the Rams just figure, okay, we get a number 2, we can do that, we can get off of some of the money here, and we can start the rebuild process. It seems like that's what they are thinking at 2-4, and with the ages
you can
that
pull
you
it
mentioned.
back. You can pull it back. If somebody just offers you a 4th-round conditional pick, you can pull it back. And it's conceivable that they could win their division. If you win your division, you get a home playoff game. But it feels to me, Mike, like that the Rams are saying, we're closer to losing it than to getting it, so let's consider a rebuild. We move on.
Like
the NBA opened its season last night as Boston beat New York by about 100 points. And the Lakers beat the Timberwolves as Anthony Davis went for 36 and 16. And everyone named James got into the game except maybe James Worthy. Well, but I am sure you watched both games. So what did you learn from this?
Tony, there's one thing that matters, because the second game didn't matter. It just didn't matter. I mean, I don't believe that the Timberwolves are going to just walk out there with the change of personnel that they've had and just, be the Timberwolves of last May. And that's not reasonable. The Timberwolves will be fine. The Boston Celtics are the only lesson from last night that mattered. The Celtics walked out there like angry, like we want to pound somebody, like they had something taken away from them last June instead of delivering something to their fan base and their team in their locker room. And it's like, wow, they wanted to pound somebody. And so, let me make my case again, state my case about the Celtics. Every single indicator that is reasonable and logical points to the Boston Celtics winning again. Not most of them, every single indicator. Am I picking the Celtics? No, I'm not. My question is what we saw last night sustainable and how long? They came out like Mike Tyson in the first 90 seconds against Leon Spinks, angry at the world. It's a great thing to see, Tony. The Knicks are going to be all right, too, and the Knicks are going to get their blows in before the season's over. It's an incredible thing to watch the Celtics. Is it sustainable? I don't know, but wow, that's what I took away from night 1.
So I'm going to be very honest here. As you well know, I had no intention of watching the second game at all. The late game, I wasn't going to do that. But I watched as much of the Knicks and the Celtics as I could, and I found myself intermittently turning away from the game and seeing if there's anything on other than hockey for a couple of reasons. One, this was a non-game. The Celtics were up by 20 points in the first quarter, and I never saw the Knicks cut that to within 15. I never saw that. And two, because it's not time for basketball and hockey yet. It was 80 degrees in Washington, D.C. yesterday. I mean,
80
it's
here
just,
in Philly
with
now.
the World Series is going to start on Friday. We're about halfway through the regular season in college football and the NFL, and it felt to me like hockey and basketball were intruding on that. I'm going to care about it, but much as you don't care about baseball till July or August, I can't really care about it now. I will say this. It was an amazing. The Celtics came out just like last year. They're banging threes. They had 29 threes. They tie the record, and they tie it with 9 minutes to go, I think, in the fourth quarter.
Missed their
and then they
last
missed the next 13. 13. Yeah. They couldn't hit at all.
Yeah.
But when you look at the stats after the game, they shot 61 threes. The Knicks shot 30 threes. That's 91 threes, Mike. That's more than 50% of the shots. It was like a video game, and I was thinking to myself, what's basketball now? What is it? Is this what it is?
That's it.
Just fanning out and taking
that's
threes?
What it is.
Let's take a break. Coming up, are the Sixers smart to play it this safe with Joel Embiid? We're we're going to ask Kendrick Perkins.
We're also going to ask him whether he's more intrigued by the Warriors without Clay or the Dallas Mavericks with Clay.
Mike, 91 threes out of 173 shots.
Yeah.
That's an insane percentage, right?
It's a lot. It's not basketball that we know. It's not. But it's what's got to be played. Volume.
Pardon the interruption. Is
We have 10 more NBA openers tonight, which makes it a perfect time to bring in our good friend from NBA Today, Mr. Kendrick Perkins. Let's start with this. You're at the Clippers' new arena. Paul George is gone. Kawhi Leonard is out. Of course he's out. He's always out. James Harden is 35 years old. So how should the owner, Steve Ballmer, feel about the squad that he's going to put out there in his new building?
Is regretful a word? I mean, that's how he should feel, especially watching Oklahoma City in the same conference as him with a guy leading the charge in SGA that he gave up to make this deal happen to bring Kawhi to the Clippers. I mean, you know, when you think about Steve Ballmer and you think about the situation that the Clippers are in, Stephen A. said it. They have the worst superstar in NBA history, in Kawhi Leonard. And he's no saint, right? He's quiet in the public, but he's something else behind the scenes. And I think they got to figure it out. I mean, at the end of the day, you got T. Lue in place in a contract extension, but you got a lot of veterans there. Obviously, James Harden is still a guy that could put up numbers and win some games in the regular season. But again, they'll play in tournament at best.
Kendrick, you notice whatever angst there might be in Los Angeles in that new building, there's a whole lot more anxiety going on right here in Philadelphia where I am. I covered you when you played with busted body parts and torn stuff like ligaments. As an ex-player who played through stuff, how do you feel when you hear Joel Embiid not going to play tonight in the opener and says he's not going to play back-to-backs? Can that even work?
Will Bowen, Tony, y'all know I'm so happy to be back on PT. I'm so happy that it's basketball season because I could give it to y'all straight. Y'all remember last year when I told the world that Joel Embiid should sit out and not come back in the postseason, that the Philadelphia 76ers should get a plan in place so that he could be ready in the preseason and the start of the regular season? Now, here we are. And all I've been hearing is that Joel Embiid, he's progressing. Progressing from what? Is he injured? What has he been doing over the last month that he's not ready to play opening night? This is a bad alarming sign if you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan. Listen, we heard the great Charles Barkley, the great Shaquille O'Neal, the great Kevin Garnett all have something to say about Joel Embiid not being available in the back-to-back situation. And in the talented league that we have right now, you have to win games in the regular season in order to get to the postseason. So the Philadelphia 76ers, they need to be careful on how they manage this because Joel Embiid needs to be on the floor because every night, especially in the tough Eastern Conference with the Knicks, the Bucks, the Magic, the Pacers, the Celtics, they're going to have to strap their shoes up and they're going to have to win some games.
Woo, can't wait to get started tonight in Philadelphia to see the reaction to the Sixers, whoever takes the floor. I'm going to move to the West for a second and ask you a Klay Thompson-related question. Are you more interested in how the Warriors are going to play without Klay or how the Mavericks are going to play with Klay?
I need to see what the Mavs look like with Klay Thompson, a team that went to the NBA Finals last year. A team, to me, in my opinion, should be one of the favorites to represent the Western Conference again. The Western Conference is a mystery. Right, we could pick the Oklahoma City Thunder and say, oh, they the favorite on paper. But the Dallas Mavericks, if they get a happy Klay, think about this. Disgruntled Klay last season still averaged about 18 points on 40% shooting from the three. If they could get that in a happy version, I think that elevates the Dallas Mavericks to put them right back into the NBA Finals. I'm not picking them, but I do need to see what that look like.
We'll get you out of here on this. Wilbon is adamant that the Celtics will not win it all again. Are you with Wilbon or taking the wiser position to be against Wilbon?
Tony, don't be petty like that. I don't never go against my brother Wilbon, my big bro, too often, but this one I have to. And at first I was like, you know what, teams are stacking up, they're getting better, and then I saw last night, and I don't want to overreact to one game, but I have to. The way that they stomped out the New York Knicks, anybody else that would have walked in that garden, they would have gotten beaten just like the Knicks did. But the Celtics, I've never seen a team that won the championship coming into a season that is playing like they have something to prove. They have one of the greatest offensive teams I've ever seen with my own eyes. They're unstoppable. And yes, I do think that they're going to repeat this season. If they stay healthy, they're going to win it again.
It's good to hear from you, and it's good that you did finally go against
Good to
Wilbon.
have you back. Even in disagreement, good to have you back.
I appreciate
Let's take
y'all.
one
Thanks
last
for having
break.
me, as always.
Still to come, a college football unbeaten is back on the field tonight.
And we'll offer a few thoughts on the life and times of Fernando Valenzuela. It is great to have Perk back. Even though I'm 3,000 miles away, not on a set in L.A.
The Interruption is presented by the refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Happy time, people. Happy 59th birthday, Al Leiter. Leiter pitched 19 seasons in the bigs for the Yankees, Blue Jays, Marlins, and Mets. The left-hander started 382 games. His career record was 162 and 132, and his ERA was 3.80. Leiter was a two-time All-Star, once for the Marlins, once for the Mets. He pitched in 3 World Series, winning with the Blue Jays in 1993 and the Marlins in 1997. Leiter has a son, Jack, pitching for the Texas Rangers. Jack appeared in 9 games his rookie season. Leiter's brother, Mark, pitched 11 seasons in the bigs with 8 different teams. And Mark Leiter's son, Mark Jr., is a reliever for the Yankees. He pitched in 60 games this season with a 4-5 record.
I always talk about how much I love listening to Smoltz and Darling, and I do. I like listening to Al Leiter in various capacities, too, talk about baseball. Real quickly, Tony, I mentioned coming out in a fury like Tyson did against Leon Spinks, as you well know, and I know, too. It was Michael, not Leon.
Michael.
Can't confuse my Spinkses.
Right, and it didn't last long, that particular fight. Happy
90
anniversary,
seconds,
Robert
91.
Bailey. On this day 30 years ago, as a punt returner for the Los Angeles Rams, Bailey noticed that Tommy Barnhart's punt for the Saints bounced just short of the back of the end zone. Bailey scooped it up as it bounced back towards the playing field, and he went 103 yards after the Saints coverage team had given up on the play, assuming it was a touchback. This game was a special team fan's dream. The Saints' Tyrone Hughes returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns and set the record for most return yards in one game, 347. 304 kickoff return yards, 43 punt return yards. Getting back to Bailey, Bailey won Super Bowls with the Cowboys and the Ravens, and he won 2 NCAA championships at the U.
If I'm Bailey, I'm calling up people on television. I'm saying enough talk about quarterbacks, right? Other people do contribute to the success of football teams at a high level. And it's not just guys who receive the snap. What a career.
A melancholy trails Fernando Valenzuela. The great Dodgers lefty has died at age 63. Valenzuela may have been the greatest phenom in baseball history. When he was a rookie in 1981, Valenzuela, at age 20, won his first 8 starts, including opening day. He pitched complete games in all 8, recorded 5 shutouts, and gave up just 4 earned runs for an ERA of 0.50, and Fernando Mania was born. The fact that Valenzuela was Mexican endeared him to the vast Mexican culture in Southern California. In 1981, Valenzuela won Rookie of the Year, the Cy Young, and the World Series, so nothing else he did would ever equal that. Valenzuela was wildly popular, and even more so for his unique windup, where he rolled his eyes towards heaven before releasing his pitch, usually an unhittable screwball.
Tony, in 1984, Olympic summer in L.A., I think John Feinstein and I annoyed our boss, George Solomon, because we took a big fat detour away from the Olympics to go and watch Fernando Valenzuela in person in Dodger Stadium. How about the fact that he and Oral Hershiser were both on that staff starting that summer, among others?
The Dodgers are known for pitchers more than any other franchise in history. Let's go quickly to the big finish. Rudy Gobert and the Timberwolves reportedly agreed on a 3-year contract extension worth $110 million. Does that make sense?
You know, if they get to the finals and win one, it will. I'm uncertain about that right now. I got to see more. Bryce Young going to start Sunday for the Panthers because Andy Dalton sprained his thumb in a car accident. Your thoughts?
We wish Bryce Young well on the field. We wish Andy Dalton and his family well from the car accident. The Winnipeg Jets beat the Blues 3-2 last night to remain the only fully unbeaten team in the NHL. Your thoughts?
Well, the Rangers, Flames, and Wild have not lost in regulation, but have in overtime. See, that's sort of murky. The Mystics, the Washington Mystics, have moved on from their coach and GM. Okay by you?
No. It's a shocker. I didn't see this coming at all. Michael Winger wields a heavy axe. Last one, college football tonight. Unbeaten Liberty at winless Kennesaw State. Are you smell an upset?
Is there no shame? Wednesday night, college football, I mean, class, student athlete, come on now. Come on, stop. Enough.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast. It's a ball night. You know, winning.